Hello, my name is Connor Wake. I'm the designer of Out of Sorts, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to play. So, Out of Sorts, it's a cooperative, real-time memory game where what you're going to be trying to do, you're sorting these strange symbols that are on books in an alien's library. You're going to try and come up with your own sorting system to see if that can help you remember where you put them all, and you're gonna see how far you can get through all those books in the 20-minute time limit that you've got. So let's get started. So first off, some setup. So don't need the box anymore. Okay, these are the cards that we have. We have the books. So the books all have these strange symbols on them, and on the back they look like this. So we'll just shuffle those up, set those aside for now. Get to those in a minute. We've got the rule book, which you might need a reference as we're going through. I might need a reference as we're going through. We've got index cards. The index cards have the same symbols as the books on them. So basically there's a matching pair of all of these symbols. The index cards are basically the reference for the books. So we'll put that to the side for now after shuffling that as well. We've also got these category cards. There are 7 double-sided category cards. So let's see, this is what we've got. These represent the basically the categories of the shelf that we're sorting. So stuff like plants, rituals, mysteries. You can mostly ignore these stars for now, but those represent how difficult they're going to be. So, but for the first game, what we need is the reptiles, the cats, and the monsters. There we go. And then the rest of these you can just put back in the box. You won't need those for this game. Then we have these round cards. Round cards, they need to be sorted with the round numbers 1 through 9, lowest at the top, highest at the bottom. Sort those, just set those here so that everyone can see them. And then finally, we have the alien and the alien's book. This is representing the alien's patience with how you're doing sorting the library books. As the alien loses patience, it's going to slip down like this, revealing more and more of them until they decide that you're done here. So for now, just put it like this, completely covering the bookshelf, and place it over here so that everyone can see. Okay, so now on just a little bit more setup. So, the way this game works, there's going to be one player who is the sorter. I'm going to be setting up the game as if from the point of view of the sorter. So the sorter is the one who's going to have all the books in their hand, and they're going to basically represent the shelf, and they're going to sort all the books, with the help of everybody else, of course. Then the other players are going to be the finders. The finders are rummaging around through this big stack of books, trying to find the books matching some index cards so that they can give them to the sorter. So for your first game, what you want to do, probably the person who read the rules or watched this video should be the sorter, because it's kind of the trickiest, most involved role. But after that, pick however you like. So, based on the number of finders that you have, take the stack of books and split it roughly evenly between those players. So I'm going to set up for a 2-player, 2 finders and 1 sorter. So we're just going to take these, don't have to worry too much about it, give one of those to one of the finders, give 1 stack to the other finder. So this is going to be their hand. So each finder is going to have, basically, in this 3-player game, half of the stack of all the cards in their hand that only they get to look at. That's their section of the library. Then, the sorter, take these, shuffle them up, place this over here to the right of these categories, which we're actually going to rotate these around so that the finders can see them and read them. This is going to be your lost stack. So these are all the cards that haven't been found in the books yet. Over here, we're going to imagine there's a space for the found stack. So over the course of the game, we're going to be finding books, giving them to the sorter. So these index cards are going to move from the lost stack over to this found stack over here. And with that, we're actually ready to begin. So at this point, if you were playing a real game, you would start a 20-minute timer on your clock. But for your first game, I kind of recommend playing the first round without that timer, and then when you're ready to start the second round, you can start a 15-minute timer. But either way, decide what you want to do for that, and at this point, if you're going to play the full game, start that 20-minute timer. That timer never stops. Game ends once it runs out. You see how far you can get. So, what's going to happen over the game is the sorters are going to find index cards in their hand, and they're going to give them to you, the sorter, or me, the sorter. As you get them, we're going to have a chance to discuss as a team where we think they should be sorted. And what does that mean? Well, as long as you can remember where things are, and you and your team can remember where things are, the sorting system you choose doesn't really matter. That's kind of the part of the game, is figuring out what sorting system you and your team kind of jive with. So, what you want to do, you want to have a look at this, and you want to figure out, where's it going to go? This is your imaginary shelf. The hand of cards that the sorter is going to get go from right to left, or left to right, depending on which way you're looking at it. So you kind of want to put things that are in the cat section over here, reptiles in the middle, monsters over to the left. So maybe we have a look at this and we're like, that looks like a snake spine. Cool. Okay. We won't think too much about it. We'll put it in this imaginary middle of the shelf for now. Then let's say you get another card. Okay. We'll all discuss it again. We'll figure out, that looks like a weird monster. Looks like some sort of jar with legs. So we'll put it over to this side in the monster section. Maybe we get another card. We're like, well, that's like a cat toy. Pretty obviously, it's a ball. They're going to chase after that. So we'll put it over in the cat section. And this is working so far. But because we've only got 3 things. But let's say we get this one. Okay. Again, we're thinking this looks like a scary monster with its fists raised, so maybe we'll put it in the monster section. But what's important is you need to know the order of these cards still. So when you put it in the monster section, you kind of have to choose where in the monster section. We're going left, we're going right. How you want to figure that out is kind of up to you. Basic starting point is maybe let's put things that look scariest, let's put things that look scariest over here and less scary over here, because reptiles aren't as scary as monsters. And for whatever reason, we decided this jar-looking monster is less scary than this plant-looking monster. Let's go with that. So as the game goes on, you're going to keep getting cards, you're going to decide, maybe this looks like a fish sort of thing. I think it looks like an anglerfish. So we'll put it in the cat section, but closer to reptiles, because it's not really a reptile, but, it's good enough for keeping track of where things are. Eventually, we're going to have more and more cards, so you're going to have to keep adding and updating your sorting system. So keep that in mind, that's very important. Okay, so that's the point, that's what you're doing. How you do that, okay, we're going to reset a little bit. So, the start of each round, you're going to deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards from the lost stack. Place them in the middle. Now, if you're a finder, you got a couple of jobs. So, I'm going to pretend I'm a finder now. If I'm a finder and I don't have one of these cards, these active cards in the middle, I'm going to take one into my hand, and my job now is to find it. It might be somewhere in my hand, which would be very convenient. But 50% chance it's not in my... Oh, there we go. Okay. 50% chance that it's not in my hand. I'll explain what happens if it is in your hand. So if it is in your hand, what you're going to do, put this in the middle so that everyone can start discussing it. Put this face down over in the found stack, because you found it now. Then, we're going to do what we were doing earlier. We're trying to figure out where the sorter is going to sort this. Everyone should take part in this. Everyone can talk. The important thing, though, is once it goes into the sorter's hand, no one can see it anymore. It's in the sorter's hand now. They can never show it. They can tell you where they put it, but they can only use descriptive words, so that might be a little bit tricky. Okay, so that's what happens. So once you found that card, if you don't have another active card, you draw it. And this is going on at the same time as the other finder is also grabbing a card, trying to find it in their hand. Now, it's possible, okay, we're going to pretend this isn't in their hand. It's possible it's not in your hand. If it's not in your hand, you're going to have to try and find it in the other finder's hand. But you can't show it to them, and you can't see their hand. Everyone's hands are closed from each other. So what you're going to have to do is describe it. So I'm probably going to say something, well, it's a circle with lots of little circles coming off of it and like a weird spiral thing. Hopefully the other player can figure out what that is, and they're like, oh, is it this card? And you're like, yes, it is this card. So then, same deal, we put that there, we put this in the found stack, we discuss where this goes, sorter puts it into their hand, keep going. Now eventually, we're going to find all these cards. I'm going to pretend I found all these cards, and we're just going to put a few cards in. Okay, so I just went and fudged that example a little bit, so I make sure I got the same cards here as here. Didn't want to have to see me sort through all that by myself. So, let's pretend this is the order we decided to sort these 5 cards from the round into. Okay, cool. Now we're ready to do a system check. The librarian basically wants to make sure, is your system actually working? Now, importantly, you don't need to remember exactly where you put these cards, you just need to remember their relative order. So what's going to happen, and during this phase, the sorter cannot talk, cannot show their cards, they're basically a silent arbiter. What's going to happen is, based on the round, this will tell us what we need to do for the system check. So in round 1, there are 3 cards per check, and we only need 1 success. So what that looks like, since there are 3 cards, we're going to take the found stack, we are going to shuffle it up, and we're going to deal out the 3 cards that are required per check. And we're going to just spread them out like that. Now, what the finders have to do is put those cards in the same relative order as they are in the sorter's hand. Remember, sorter can't talk or tell them anything, show them anything, can't rearrange their hand. So they're going to remember, using that system you've been coming up with, where they're going to go. So let's pretend they just don't, they think this is correct. Obviously you can see this is not correct because the order, these they're actually flipped, right? If they are wrong, what you do, first off, librarian's not happy with you. So the librarian slots down 1 space. If it ever gets to the bottom, game's over. So try not to be too wrong. Then what you want to do is, as the sorter, without talking, you want to put these in the correct order. So the correct order of these cards is this, like that. Okay, so now the finders know what they did wrong, but then, since they got it wrong, you gotta shuffle these all back together again. Deal out 3 again. Maybe they'll be the same, maybe they'll be different. And then I gotta put them in the correct order. So again, we can see, conveniently, these are actually in the correct order. So let's say they were like, okay, maybe it's this, and then they realize, oh no, we put this plant monster more in the middle. Okay, if they're correct, perfect, you're good. You'll take these cards, you'll put them here to mark it as a success. You'll check, have you got the number of successes you need for this round? In this case, we just need 1, so we're good to go. And perfect. So what you do, end of the round, take all those cards from all the checks that were successful, just quickly shuffle them back into the found stack, sorry, and we're going to keep going. So we'll toss this into the box, don't need it, because now we're on to round 2, and you can see there are 10 books now. You deal 5 more books off the top. The finders are going to try and find those books again, and the important part is when they find those books, they go into your hand that already has the cards in the previous round. So we're going to pretend these are the cards. We're going to get 5 more cards. We're going to have to sort them where they're going to go. So let's just pretend we put them here for sake of example. And then there are going to be 5 more cards added to the found stack. So now, when you get to the end of the round and you want to do that check again, 4 cards per check, 2 successes required. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the whole stack of found cards, including from previous rounds, shuffle them all up, deal out 4 of them. And then they have to put those in the correct relative order as they are in your hand that is getting bigger and bigger. So maybe they do this, same deal, if they're correct, perfect. We'll just set them aside over here. But remember, we need 2 successes this time. So take these, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. Maybe they get it wrong. Okay, we tell them actually no, it was this way. Take these, and importantly, you don't have to shuffle them with the ones you got correct. You just have to shuffle them back into the ones that haven't been ordered yet. And you do it again. So remember, the time limit is just going at this point. You would lose another tick off the librarian's patience. Time limit's still going, so every time you get it wrong, you're just eating into your time. Maybe you get it correct this time. Perfect. Put it here. We have the 2 successes we need. So that means we pass this round. Take all of those cards. Add them back to the rest of them. Put out 5 new ones. And you keep going. So you keep going. This is going to get more complicated because you're going to have lots of things. Careful, don't put them all in cats unless you have a really good system for sorting cat-like things. And that's pretty much the game. So, game ends when either the librarian card slides all the way down to that goodbye space, which means game's immediately over. Or, if you can make it through all 9 rounds, which is going to be 11 cards per check, 3 successes required, you'll also win the game there. If you do run out in the middle of doing the system check where you're seeing if you got things in the right order, you kind of hit like a sudden death. So all you have to do, don't worry about the timer. If you can get the quiz, the system check correct, and you don't get any incorrect, you make it through the round. You've successfully done it. But if you get any of the system checks wrong, that's it. Game over. And you didn't pass that round. That's the game. So, if you want to know how well you did, at the top of these cards is star value. You can see how many stars you got based on how many rounds you got through. This will tell you how well you did. There's a couple other ways to make things trickier. So for example, if you use these trickier categories, those give you stars. There's a couple other challenges you can see at the end of the book too, but I'll let you figure that one out for yourself. And with that is how to play Out of Sorts. Thanks for watching.